what is your circle of friends like? Do you have somebody you can talk to? Is there somebody in your life that you can really open up with? And that's the start. That's finding that one person, and they don't have to be a professional. Some people just keep this stuff to themselves. Well, I really got, if, take a friend to coffee that you really trust and say, you know what, I've been having these thoughts. This has been happening to me. Just start to reach out. And that's the very, very first step, is just asking somebody, will you listen to me? I think I have a problem. The next step is going to some sort of professional level. It's just, there are, for drugs and alcohol recovery, there's obviously many groups for that. Depression, there's therapists. There are groups for depression also. There's lots of online resources. One great resource too is an organization called Give an Hour, and they have this program called Change Direction. And I don't have the exact website, but they have the 5 signs of mental health awareness that you can take a quick little test, or you can be watching your friends and see, if something is bothering them, and you can look at the 5 signs. And but as I go back to it, the first thing is just admitting you might have a problem and talking to somebody. And I can tell you this is, once you take that action, God, the universe, whatever you want to believe, will pick you up and start to open up other doors. It's hard to believe when you're isolated and you think you're the only one this is happening to. But if you just reach out, that starts this whole series, and I've seen it time and time again, of doors opening. Somebody else knows somebody, or this happens, and all of a sudden you see something else. And the next thing you know, what used to be a hopeless situation is, in a couple months, you're sitting in a group and you have a modicum of relief. This journey of mental health, there's no final solution. Well, there is, and it's not the right solution, but there's no final solution. Is what I'm saying is that there's not, unfortunately, just take a pill and it will go away. We have to work on this constantly. But the hope is, once start the ball rolling, just take that first action, tell somebody, or even tell a professional, seek out a therapist, tell a friend, start the ball rolling. Then you're in this series of action. And the hope then is that you get a little bit better every day. And we work on a little bit every day. And we backslide. And we have those moments, but we keep moving forwards. And that's what we do.
I love that.
So
thank you for your transparency and sharing that. And so you've worked with many people in the realm of healing. Healing is also a part of your operation, your purpose, and your passion. What has been one of your highest joys that you've experienced in the realm of healing, working with those that have suffered from trauma and mental illness? If you could share that with us today.
And I'll just say this in a big blanket way. When I meet some of these people and get to be their friend, part of the process is, I tell all my crew members that the people come first, then the film. And so when I get to meet these people and connect and really become friends with them, they're sometimes in a tough place. And to see them grow, and to see, and years, I mean, in particular, there was a soldier that I interviewed in Searching for Home, Coming Back from War. And now I'm still in contact with him and his mom. And he has a 2-year-old son. He's happily married. They've been married for a long time. And it's the joy of seeing that. And I'm not saying the film did it or anything. I just get to be a tiny part of that progress, a tiny part of their life. And to see somebody take control of their life, to actually walk in recovery after what he's been through, it's just amazing. It just fills your heart up. And
Amazing.
there's so many individual stories
Yes.
that I've been blessed with along the road in these last 30 years. But in a general way, to meet these people where they're at and then to see them grow is one of the biggest joys I have.
That's absolutely awesome. And so now we're going to flip over a little bit and talk about the technology piece. You are a filmmaker. So, in regards to technology, what has been one of the greatest advancements in your work as a filmmaker that you have been able to see that has helped your business grow from a technological standpoint?
Okay, so we're going to turn the page here, and I get to be nerd.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh my gosh! You know what? I'm just loving. I'm not kidding. When I did Searching for Home, coming back from war, I had 12 cases of gear, and we would travel. And I got to say, Southwest Airlines was absolutely amazing. Southwest Airlines was one of our sponsors for Searching for Home, coming back from war, and we had like limitless tickets there. So we traveled a lot, but we had 12 cases of equipment, and it was a logistical like nightmare because getting in and out of JFK and into the everywhere with 12 cases was just a lot. And so one of the coolest things now is I just went up to San Francisco for the day for an interview. I think I had 4 cases, and they weren't even cases; they were backpacks, really. And it's just like how small everything is, but the quality is not suffering. I mean, from the lights, even the lights, from the lights to the cameras to the recording, how the recording, the sound, everything has gotten smaller, and the quality has actually risen. So, what I used to take around in this huge lighting case is just one light, just this huge light, and it was all fluorescent tubes. It was a Kinoflow, and I love that light. And now I have a little LED light that's about this big that I put a couple things in front of for my soft light, but it fits. It's this big now, and it's just like not only that, but then shout out to Black Magic Design. Their cameras are absolutely amazing. And I've been working with their cameras on this project. I never thought I would ever leave the realm of Sony. But Black Magic Design, their cinema camera, the Pocket 6K that I'm using on this show is a beautiful camera. And it's the size of an SLR. Whereas compared to, I used to have this one, the base of the camera was this big. Then I had all these other things I had to build onto it, before I was ready to go out and shoot with Searching for Home. And there was like 3 cases just for the camera. Now I put it in a thing the size of a backpack.
Wow.
So for me as a filmmaker, that's amazing. I can go up to San Francisco with just one assistant, not worry about like getting through the airport. We have 4 cases. We're set, and
Wow.
so that is like a great question. And that's the one thing it made me think of that. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's freeing. But I'm not compromising on the quality of my image work because I go back to I was one of the first people that edit electronically an IMAX movie, but we did go back to film, and each frame's this big, so I know about visual acuity. I know about like quality, having done one of the original 1570 IMAX movies. So I don't like to compromise on my images, and I don't. But everything's tiny now.
Wow, amazing. So it sounds like you have had some amazing breakthroughs in working with technology and all of its advancements as a filmmaker. We are just about 5 minutes before we wrap the session. And before we wrap the session, I hear so much passion coming forth from you in regards to helping individuals really come into a place of wholeness when we talk about mental illness and even trauma, right? So, if you could share with the listening audience as we come to the close of our interview today, Eric, some words of inspiration and words of empowerment to let those that may be having symptoms or have been in the process of recovery coming into that place of hope. If you could share a message of inspiration that would empower them to continue on their journey, that would be awesome.
I'm going to borrow from a good friend of mine and one of the clinical consultants on my film, Dr. Arya Shalev. He's actually at the University of Jerusalem now. He was at NYC, New York University, when I first met him. But I'm gonna share some of his thoughts, which I believe with all of my heart, is that no matter how low you go, as a human being, our souls are never completely drained. It's actually, when you get so squeezed, you're stuck there. What's still left in you is the purest of that little tiny mustard seed, or whatever you want to call it. And it's pure, and it can still grow. So no matter how far down the totem pole, the pole that you went, no matter how deep your hole is, there's still a tiny spark, and that spark is very pure by that time in your soul, of hope, of recovery. And you just have to take the first action. And that first action is usually asking for help, even if it's a friend, if it's a professional or whatever. And then from there, things will blossom, and there is hope. And it's very, very difficult to communicate to somebody that is deep into their situation, deep into the depression. I understand that. I understand what it is, being in that chair, in that seat, in those shoes. It's hard to hear that. It's like, well, it doesn't feel like that way, but it is the truth. And what it just takes time, and our soul is meant to grow if we let it and take the action. And so, my message is, no matter how deep you go into it, how despairing it may be, there is still hope deep inside of you. And you need to take whatever action you can at that time. And then I've seen it happen time and time again, where how the heck is this person ever going to get out of this situation, or out of this place that they put themselves, or situations have placed them. But I've seen people grow in impossible ways.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that. Such an impactful, inspiring message. So we are going to close out now, and I want to thank you, Eric, for gracing the Sean Inspires podcast platform today and blessing the listening audience with all of your inspiration and amazing tools. So if you could share with the audience, how can they connect with you? Please share your information so they can connect with you, follow you, partner with you. Please share that with the audience as we close out.
Well, if you want to find out more about me personally and all the projects that I'm involved in and my history, and listen to this podcast and others like this, you can go to www, obviously, ecproductions.com. And that's about me and all my work. Or if you want to find out more about my current film, you can go to unmaskinghopethemovie.com. That's unmaskinghopethemovie.com. You can connect with us on Facebook, on Insta, and TikTok through Eric Christiansen. But also, I'd just like to give a shout out, and I have it right here in front of me. If I mentioned Change Direction, it's an incredible organization called Give an Hour. So if you just go to giveanhour.org, you can click on the Change Direction button, and they have all sorts of resources of how to get started on the mental health path. And there's very, very few organizations that pay attention to the beginning of that path. And giveanhour.org is another great resource for everybody. That's a very, very practical resource. So, and thank you for this time, Sean. I appreciate it.
Thank you for sharing with us. So as we close today, listening audience, thank you for your time today, for tuning in to the Sean Inspires podcast. And as always, please share with your community, share with your family, share with your friends, share with your work colleagues. We're always glad to have you spread the message of Sean Inspires. This segment focused on mental illness and technology. As I always close, stay strong and stay inspired. Until next time, take care. Bye now.